Hey love, pardon my wacky hair. Today I combed it all straight back. It looked like it was, after I was swimming, I combed it all the way back to the back of my head. And it dried like that, so it looks a little funny now. So today, second alternation, AA Milne. Now we are 6. Let's do some reading. Buttercup Days. Where's Anne? Head above the buttercups, walking by the stream. Down among the buttercups, where is Anne? Walking with her man, lost in a dream, lost among the buttercups. What has she got in that little brown head? Wonderful thoughts which can never be said. What has she got in that firm little fist of hers? Somebody's thumb, and it feels like Christopher's. Where is Anne? Close to her man, brown head, gold head, in and out of the buttercups. The charcoal burner. The charcoal burner has a tale to tell. He lives in the forest, alone in the forest. He sits in the forest, alone in the forest. The sun comes up slanting between the trees, and rabbits come up and they give him good morning, and rabbits come up and say, beautiful morning. And the moon swings clear of the tall black trees, and the owls fly over and wish him good night, quietly over to wish him good night. And he sits and he thinks of the things that they know, and he and the forest alone together. The springs that come and the summers that go, autumn dew on bracken and heather, the drip of the forest beneath the snow, all the things that they have seen, all the things that they have heard, an April sky swept clean, and the songs of a bird. Oh, the charcoal burner has tale to tell, and he lives in the forest, and knows us well. Oh, that makes me want to go experience the woods. Us too. Wherever I am, there's always Pooh. There's always Pooh in me. Whatever I do, he wants to do too. What are we doing today, says Pooh. Well, that's very odd, because I was too. Let's go together, says Pooh, says he. Let's go together, says Pooh. What's twice 11, I said to Pooh. Twice what, said Pooh to me. I think it ought to be 22. Just what I think myself, said Pooh. It wasn't an easy sum to do. But that's what it is, said Pooh, said he. That's what it is, said Pooh. Let's look for dragons, I said to Pooh. Yes, let's, said Pooh to me. We crossed the river and found a few. Yes, those are dragons all right, said Pooh. As soon as I saw their beaks, I knew. That's what they are, said Pooh, said he. That's what they are, said Pooh. Let's frighten the dragons, I said to Pooh. That's right, said Pooh to me. I'm not afraid, said Pooh. I said to Pooh, and I held his paw and shouted, shoo, silly old dragons. Then they flew off. I wasn't afraid, said Pooh, said he. I'm never afraid with you. So wherever I am, there's always Pooh. There's always Pooh with me. What would I do, I said to Pooh, if it wasn't for you? And Pooh said, true. If it... it isn't much fun for one, but two can stick together, says Pooh, says he. That's how it is, says Pooh. I like that one a lot. The Old Sailor. There once was an old sailor my grandfather knew, who had so many things which he wanted to do. Now whenever he thought it was time to begin, he couldn't because of the state he was in. He was shipwrecked and lived on an island for weeks, and he wanted a hat, and he wanted some breeks, and he wanted some nets, or a line and some hooks, for the turtles and things which you read in the books. And thinking of this, he remembered a thing which he wanted for water, and that was a spring. And he thought that to talk and he'd look for and keep, if he found it, a goat or some chickens and sheep. Then because of the weather, he wanted a hut with a door to come in by, which opened and shut, with a jerk, which was useful if snakes were about, and a very strong lock to keep savages out. He began on the fishhook when he began, he decided he couldn't because of the sun. So you know what he ought to begin with, and that was to find out to make a large sun-stopping hat. He was making the hat with some leaves from a tree when he thought, I'm as hot as a body can be. I've nothing to take for my terrible thirst. I'll look for a spring, and I'll look for it first. And then he thought, and he started, oh dear, and oh dear. I'll be a little lonely tomorrow with nobody here. So he made his notebook and a couple of notes. I must first find some chickens. And no, I mean goats. He had just seen a goat which he knew by the shape when he thought, but I must have a boat for escape. But a boat with a sail, which needs needles and threads, so I'd better sit down and make needles instead. He began on the needles, but thought as he worked that if this was an island where savages lurked, sitting safe in the hut, he'd have nothing to fear, whereas now they might suddenly breathe in his ear. So he thought of his hut, and he thought of his boat, and his hat, and his breeks, and his chickens and goat, and the hooks for his food, and the springs for his thirst, and he never could think of what he could do first. And so in the end he did nothing at all, but a basket and shingle wrapped up in a shawl. And I think it was dreadful the way he behaved. He did nothing but basking until he was saved. The Engineer. Let it rain, who cares? I've got her train upstairs, with the brake which I make from a string sort of thing, which works in jerks because it drops in the spring. which stops with the string, and the wheels all stick so quick that it feels like a thing that you make with a brake, not a string. So that's what I make when the day is all wet. It's a good sort of brake, but it hasn't worked yet. I'm grabbing some. Journey's End. Christopher, where are you going, Christopher Robin? Just up to the top of the hill, upping and upping until I'm right at the top of the hill, said Christopher Robin. Christopher, where are you going, Christopher Robin? There's nothing to see, so when you've got to the top, what then? Just go down to the bottom again, said Christopher Robin. Furry Bear. If I were a bear, and a big bear too, I shouldn't much care if it froze or snew. I shouldn't much mind if it snowed or frizz. I'd be all fur-lined with a coat like his. For I'd have fur boots and a brown fur wrap, and brown fur knickers and a big fur cap. I'd have fur muffle ruff to cover my jaws, and brown fur mittens on my big brown paws. With a big brown furry down up to my head, I'd sleep all the winter in a big fur bed. It sounds cozy. Forgiven. I found a little beetle, so that beetle was his name, and I called him Alexander, and he answered just the same. I put him in a matchbox and kept him all day, and Nanny let my beetle out. Yes, Nanny let my beetle out. She went and let my beetle out, and Beetle ran away. She said she didn't mean it, and I never said she did. She said she wanted matches, and she just took off the lid. She said that she was sorry, but it's difficult to catch an excited sort of beetle you've mistaken for a match. She said that she was sorry and really mustn't mind, and I really mustn't mind. There's lots and lots of beetles which she's certain we could find. We looked about the garden for the holes where beetles hid, and we get another matchbox and write beetle on the lid. We went to all the places where a beetle might be near, and we made the sort of noises which a beetle likes to hear. And I saw a kind of something and gave a sort of shout, "A beetle house, and Alexander Beetle's coming out." It was Alexander Beetle, that I'm certain as can be, and that he had a sort of look as though he thought it must be me. And he had a sort of look as I thought it ought to say, "I'm very, very sorry that I tried to run away." And Nanny's very sorry too, for you know what she did. And she's writing Alexander very blackly on the lid. So Nan and me are friends because it's difficult to catch. An excited Alexander you've mistaken for a match. Ooh. The Emperor's Rhyme. The King of Peru, who's an emperor too, had a sort of rhyme which is useful to know. And he felt very shy when a stranger came by, or when they asked him the time when his watch didn't go, or supposing he fell by mistake down a well, or tumbled when skating and sat on his hat. Or perhaps wasn't told till his porridge was cold, or his breakfast was waiting, or something like that. Or whenever the emperor got into a temper, or felt himself sulky or sad, he would murmur and murmur until he felt firmer this curious rhyme which he had. 8 eighths are 64 multiplied by 7. When it's done, carry 1 and take away 11. 9 nines are 91 multiplied by 3. It's much more, carry 4. And then it's time for tea. So whenever the Queen took his armour to clean, and she did remember to use any starch, on his birthday in May was a horrible day, being wet as November and windy as March. Or sitting in state, with the wise and the great, he just happened to hiccup while signing his name. Or the Queen gave a cough when his crown tumbled off, as he bent up to pick up a pen for the same. Oh, whenever the Emperor got in a temper or felt himself awkward or shy, he would whisper and whisper until he felt crisper, this odd little rhyme to the sky. 8 eighths are 81, multiplied by 7, if it's more, carry 4, and take away 11. 9 nines are 64, multiplied by 3, when it's done, carry 1, and then it's time for tea. Last one tonight. Knights in armour. Whenever I'm a shining knight, I buckle on my armour tight, and then I look about for things like rushing outs and rescuings, and saving from the dragon's lair, and fighting all the dragons there. And sometimes when our fights begin, I think I'll let the dragon win, and then I think perhaps I won't, because they're dragons. And I don't. Don't what? Don't what? Alright, Christy. I love you dearly. Sleep well. Oh, wait a minute. Sleep well. Keep calm. Find a llama. Carry on. And I will talk to you very soon. We're 33 days now. My lord, that's sneaking up on us. 2 more days and we'll be within the month range. 1 month till I'm home. Oh, goodness me. That's incredible. It occurred to me today that you and I are well past the 2.5 year point. It made me really happy. I love you, Christy. Sleep well, vegan lad. I love you. Good night.